Hi everyone, this is Pete from the Freedom in God channel, and in this video I will be discussing the moral argument. The moral argument begins with the fact that all people recognize some moral code, that some things are right and that some things are wrong. Every time we argue over right and wrong, we appeal to a higher law that we assume everyone is aware of, holds to, and is not free to arbitrarily change. Right and wrong imply a higher standard or law, and law requires a lawgiver. Because the moral law transcends humanity, this universal law requires a universal lawgiver, which is argued is God. Without some objective reference point, we have no way of saying that something is really up or down. God's nature provides an objective reference point for moral values. It's the standard against which all actions and decisions are measured. But if there is no God, there's no objective reference point. All we're left with is one person's viewpoint, which is no more valid than anyone else's viewpoint. This kind of morality is subjective, not objective. It's like a preference for lime milkshake. The preference is in the subject, not the object. So it doesn't apply to other people. In the same way, subjective morality applies only to the subject. It's not valid or binding for anyone else. So, in a world without God, there can be no evil and no good, nothing but blind, pitiless indifference. Richard Dawkins, A Darwinian View of Life, page 133. God has expressed His moral nature to us as commands. These provide a basis for moral duties. For example, God's essential attribute of love is expressed in His command to love your neighbor as yourself, in Luke 10 verse 27. This command provides a foundation upon which we can affirm the objective goodness of generosity, self-sacrifice, and equality, and we can condemn as objectively evil greed, abuse, and discrimination. This raises a question. Is something good just because God wills it, or does God will something because it is good? The answer is it's neither. Rather, God wills something because He is good. God is the standard of moral values, just as a live musical performance is a standard for a high fidelity recording. The more a recording sounds like the original, the better it is. Likewise, the more closely a moral action conforms to God's nature, the better it is. But if atheism is true, there is no ultimate standard, so there can be no moral obligations or duties. Who or what lays such duties upon us? No one. Remember, for the atheist, humans are just evolved animals, but animals have no moral obligations to one another. When a cat kills a bird, it hasn't done anything morally wrong. The cat's just doing what a cat does. If God doesn't exist, then we should view human behavior in the same way. No actions should be considered morally right or wrong. But the problem is, good and bad, right and wrong do exist. Just as our sense experience convinces us that the physical world is objectively real, our moral experience convinces us that the moral values are objectively real. Every time you say, "Hey, that's wrong, that's an injustice," you affirm your belief in the existence of objective morals. We're well aware that child abuse, racial discrimination, and terrorism are wrong. For everybody, always. Is this just a personal preference or opinion? No, it's not. The man who says that it is morally acceptable to rape little children is just as mistaken as the man who says 2 + 2 = 5. What all this amounts to then is a moral argument for the existence of God. If God does not exist, objective moral values and duties do not exist. But objective moral values and duties do exist. Therefore, God exists. Atheism fails to provide a foundation for the moral reality every one of us experience every day. An atheist and everyone else can be good without believing in God, but you cannot be good without God. In fact, the existence of objective morality points us directly to the existence of God. Thanks for watching everyone, and there is only true freedom in God. Have a blessed day.